Hey guys, this is Gail Kim from Impact Wrestling, and you are listening to the 8-Bit Suplex Podcast.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning back in to another episode of 8-Bit Suplex. We got a real fun one for you on the ticket here today. Joining me always, of course, and introducing first before our special guest, Sandy Gaviria. Sandy, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Josh?
Oh, I'm hanging in there. We're packing up the house, getting ready to put it on the market here. So, lots of elbow grease and lots of when you, I don't know if you are familiar with this, you probably aren't, but if you try and pack a house with a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, they unpack a lot of what you're packing, so it can be a little bit of a struggle.
Oh my God, I couldn't imagine. I was like, you brave soul. You have 2 children and you're doing this? Oh my God. I can barely do it, just me and my cats, and you're over here tackling with a whole family.
Well, your cats are very needy, Sandy. I said your cats are a little needy, so I mean I get it.
They're so needy.
So, but someone who's doesn't really care about your cats yet because he hasn't met them yet. I'm sure he'll meet them on this call, and that's our special guest, Mr. Floyd. How are you doing, Floyd?
I am doing great. Thank you for having me this evening. I love any chance I get to talk because I like to do that.
Hey,
in the house.
We are right there with you, of course. Floyd, as you guys, if you're tuning into this, Floyd is from All Things Elite here on the Social Suplex Podcast Network, which we are, of course, part of as well. Floyd, I had asked you originally just to kind of come in and do the video game spot, and I just kind of threw out there. I was like, hey, if you want to do the Impact, you can do the Impact as well, and here you are. So I got to ask you, how much TNA Impact have you watched in the past?
So, okay. My Impact history is crazy. Like, when it first started, pay-per-views, I was pretty diehard. I've actually sent out a picture. I was at, like, episode 47 or something on that was in Nashville. I was in like the front row cheering everybody on. And I was pretty diehard for the first 3 or 4 years of Impact. Kind of faded away. Then when Aces and Eights came, when Aces and Eights came, it brought me back to it, and just had different spikes. It comes and goes with it. When Drew McIntyre came to Impact, I was into it again for another year. So it because of the channel changes, the many different channel changes, I do fade in and out of it. So
it's so hard to follow them when we don't know what channel they're going to be on, what night, what time, and it's like, get your shit together. But I understand it's not necessarily their fault,
And then last year AEW gutted the roster, unfortunately. So literally I had been pretty consistent for up until then. They took all my favorite acts. I mean, two of my favorite tag teams are Proud and Powerful, or LAX at the time, and then the Lucha Bros, and then they were both gone, and then I love Brian Cage, and then he was gone. It was like literally they gutted the roster of the acts that I like. So I was like,
damn, I didn't even know the Lucha Brothers were wrestling on Impact.
Yeah, them and LAX put on 2 amazing tag matches. I think they hit 5 stars on the Meltzer scale.
I think that was that Metal Mayhem one, wasn't it?
Yeah, and they you would have thought they really didn't like each other because they went hard, and it was amazing. And they had a great run together in that group. And of course, I became more familiar with Pentagon when he won the Impact title from Austin Aries. So it was just So then it was like, first Aries loses his title and then he's done, and I was a big Austin Aries fan, and then slowly I thought they had the best tag team division in the world, and then it went away, and then so right now it's like their women's division to me is the best in the world still. Currently women's division, they're focused on the women's roster. is bar none in wrestling. So I always commend them on that.
Yeah, I think Sandy and I definitely agree on that point. We love the women's division and Impact. We certainly we tend to say in North America that's absolutely the case. Neither one of us watches enough Stardom or anything out east to really comment further on that, and we don't want to bring the wrath of Dr. Joshi towards us, Floyd. If you know what I mean.
Absolutely. I wanted to get into Stardom early this year, but there's just not enough hours in the week. There's too much wrestling available right now. I love it.
100% agreed.
It's just too much. It's like, oh, I want to watch, and like I really want to watch Impact, and then Dark went from being like 30 minutes to an hour to being like a 2.5 hour show every Tuesday night. So I watched that for my week. So you're looking at Dark, Dynamite, NXT, Raw, SmackDown. So anything I add after that is just like I hate myself apparently if I do anything after that.
No, dude, I'm with you there, for sure. And right now, I mean, Impact and AEW are kind of the two that I kind of focus on the most. There's so much of
Me
I
too.
think what goes on in Raw and SmackDown that you can just kind of follow along on Twitter. And it seems to me that Raw is having trouble filling 3 hours every week. But
I don't
I don't
think
know.
anyone wants to sit down every week and watch 3 hours consecutive of wrestling. Even if AEW did, I don't think it can be done right. It's
It'd be
just
very
too
difficult.
long. It's too much of a commitment every week to watch.
It's almost half a work day. Like, no, I'll put it on the background. I'll
Right.
still do what I need to do. Listen, like if I see or hear something that's interesting happening, then I can focus on that for a good 5, 10, 15 minutes. But they cannot honestly believe people are sitting down for the full 3 hours watching and listening to everything. That's insane.
Yeah, back in the WCW time with Nitro, it was just like you didn't have that many viewing options. But now with Netflix, Hulu, HBO Max, Disney Plus, nothing's gonna keep your attention for that long.
No.
No. And funny that you mentioned Disney Plus because I do want to give a shout out to Sasha Banks for a pretty good guest spot on The Mandalorian this week. Definitely check it
Oh,
out
I
if you
haven't
haven't
gotten
seen
that.
it yet.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was really
mhm.
fun. I won't spoil anything, but it was a shorter episode, but it was a pretty action packed, awesome short episode.
Dude, it was Sandy. We won't say anything further, but definitely go watch it.
Don't you dare.
But I will say that Sasha is in it a lot more than I thought she was going to be, and was pretty good.
That's awesome.
So, but with that, I think we can go ahead and get started here with this week's Impact.
Let's do it.
Excited.
All right, Sandy, why don't you kick us off here with this opening match?
Opening match. Let me pull up my notes. Oh, opening match on this week's Impact, which I may say was such a fun watch. I know we usually go over that in the end of the when we kind of finish talking about the matches, but I had such a blast watching it. It was go go go. There was no lulls. It was I didn't think there were any unnecessary segments or matches or moments. It flowed so well, and it kept my eyes glued to the show for the entire time, and I loved it. But we start out with Tennille and Madison against Nevaeh and Havoc, women's tag team match. This to me, it was there to tell a story, right? Last week we saw on the locker room talk, we kind of got what's the word? We got bamboozled into thinking that Tennille and Jordan Grace were going to be tag team partners for the tournament coming up, and instead it was Madison Rayne and Tennille. And the story here is that hey, that was the wrong choice. It did not work. This match was here to tell the story that Tennille and Madison just weren't clicking. They weren't trusting each other. Tennille was barely in there. She was just kind of letting Madison Rayne take everything, take the heat, not really caring too much. And ultimately, of course, Nevaeh and Havoc did get the win. It was a good match. I thought it definitely made Havoc and Nevaeh seem strong, working together as a team.
Yeah.
And then I like the story of the fallout between Madison and Tennille after just their first and last match to working as a tag team.
Yeah, it's the old one and done. I've had a few of those in my life, as far as dates being unsuccessful. I won't say anything further than
I
that,
was
Dave.
like, wait,
I'm not.
what?
No, no, I'm not going to. Family show here, Sandy. Family show here. Uh, Floyd, were you expecting to see a Tombstone pile driver when you tuned into Impact, and did you expect it further to be from Havoc?
I did
It
not.
was so
I
sick.
did not expect either of those things, and it's funny because you took the thought right out of my mouth. That was actually going to be my statement. It was like, man, that was an awesome Tombstone match, and it just
Yeah,
kind of came out of nowhere, and it was a very definitive win. And her partner didn't try to get in, just like whatever, like just
right.
Like,
let her
oh, thanks.
lose, and it was like I was like, it's pretty cool. Best thing I know is just I honestly the quality of the women's division. Like I said, I can't compare it to around the world and Stardom or anything like that, but it was just like this kind of basic, exciting tag team match was a higher quality than you'll see on any other American program, and I just love that about it.
Yeah, no,
True.
I thought this match was really good. It did two things, like Sandy mentioned. It set up the tension of how hard it is to work with Tennille Dashwood, which we already know because
Yep,
it's all about her.
all about
So
her. She'll tell you.
it's her the word me is written on her trunks. I mean, come on. But yeah, no, and then the other thing was it did make Havoc and Nevaeh look like kind of, a powerhouse tag team, a force to be reckoned with. When they've kind of had some losses, kind of going back, so it kind of rejuices them a little bit for the tag team tournament that'll happen. I think it starts next Tuesday, so we'll keep an eye on that. From there we go right into a Good Brothers backstage moment. Uh, Floyd, you have any thoughts about what you're seeing out of the promo work of the Good Brothers here?
It's more natural. It's more you can tell that they're more in charge of what they actually say, and this is just coming, me that jumps in and out of Impact. It just seems like you know now they were just like happy to be here the last time I watched them, and now they have a singular focus of being the tag team champions, and I just like it comes off very much more serious than they do, but still keeping their light, good brother nature.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah, I like their backstage stuff, and there was a shoot slap that Carl gives to Ethan Page. I don't remember if it was this segment or a later segment that I was like, Jesus, I mean, he literally hit the taste out of the guy's mouth.
Yes, yes, I remember that, and I'm in my chair and I kind of jump a little bit, like, dude. I'm like, yeah, let's go.
There were a
Strong
few of
style
those
right there.
moments.
Yeah,
Yeah, during the main event between Alex. Oh, we'll get there, but there were a few moments that had me feeling like that. I literally had to stop and be like, "Oh my god!" I was like in shock. But we'll get to that one. We'll get to that one.
Yeah, we'll get to that one. And not to jump ahead, because as Sandy can tell you, Floyd, we're going to get into my personal favorite segments here on Impact Wrestling. And that's, my very best friend, Tommy Dreamer. Floyd, it's an absolute fact that Tommy Dreamer sent me a Twitter message once, a DM on Twitter.
really?
Yep, out of the blue. Out of the blue.
Out of
I
it's
literally,
like
I
it's like
tweeted, and I think I tagged him, and then he didn't reply to my tweet. He just decided to go poof right to the direct message because we're just good friends. That's just the way it is.
that's awesome. Tommy Dreamer puts everyone over, so you're probably gonna get signed soon.
Well, I'll have to work with Josh number one on getting some wrestling lessons. Or even Sandy's got a pretty good in with the Lethal Academy. Because I don't know if Floyd, I don't know if you were aware, but Sandy actually trains with Jay Lethal.
Oh, that's awesome. How do
Oh
you
yeah,
how are you liking that?
Floyd, I can't believe it. You have got to come to one of my matches. I've only had two. I'm no pro or anything, but you have to come check it out. Tampa Bay Pro Wrestling.
Okay, well, the next time I'm in Tampa Bay, I will definitely do that. I was supposed to
Wait,
be
where are
there.
you?
I'm in Oklahoma.
Oh my God!
We're
So
bridging
Yes,
everybody,
gaps here. We're bridging.
listeners,
We're
we have a
we're just
guest,
bringing people together.
yes.
right? Dang, this is awesome.
And
But you know what
talk
the
about
good thing is, though, Sandy, and I'll give you your plug here, is that Floyd can actually go onto the Fight TV app and search for Tampa Bay Pro Wrestling, and he can find
Look at
both of your
that.
matches on there.
I will go to the Fight TV app and watch the match. And
What
I'm
a plug.
excited now.
What a
And
man.
and I will say this too, Sandy has wrestled the two matches that she had were both people that appeared on the two major promotions. So
Yes.
So Sandy's
Really?
first match was against what's her name that's used in AEW? Is it Katarina?
Catalina Perez.
Catalina
Yes.
Perez.
Okay.
We know her as the Queen Pin, of course, locally. And then Sandy's second match was against Brandy Lauren.
Oh, cool. Is
Yes.
that the one that she's with Joey?
Yeah, with
Is
Joey
that?
Janela. Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Thought so. Just
You mean
Twitter.
Joey is with her?
Right.
You know
Yes.
what? I was saying. I was like, I
You're
don't
right.
know how that works.
You're right.
Oh, but yeah, both girls graduates from Lethal's academy here in Tampa Bay, and man, I can't say anything bad about that man. He is one of the best coaches and best people I've ever met in my life. But yeah, that's our plug. Fight TV, Tampa Bay Pro Wrestling. Hopefully, Floyd, you can make it out to a match in Tampa sometime, maybe next year.
There
We're
was
getting
about
Mania here, right?
Yeah, maybe
I
around
was
Mania
supposed
time.
to be there for Mania. Yeah, I was supposed to be there and didn't work out. But for about a year of my wrestling life, Jay Lethal was my favorite wrestler. Like I made sure I watched everything he was on.
Yeah, I'll tell you this much.
Fantastic. I love
Seeing Jay Lethal on TV and then seeing him at a local rec center, it's kind of blows your mind, truthfully. Because I was at Sandy's debut match, and then Jay Lethal I think was in the main event that night. Is that right?
Yep.
With Snoop Strikes and who was the champion
Frick.
at the time? Right, yeah, Frick. Really good match. Definitely watch that whole card, Floyd, when you get the chance. Um, well, maybe not the whole card, but definitely Sandy the main event. I'm kidding. But back to my best friend and yours, Tommy Dreamer. He's donned the cap and the shawl. Is that a shawl? I don't know what the proper word is here, but he's dressed up as Sherlock Holmes. He's doing his investigating. We call these the Dreamer Files, Floyd. Tommy gets himself over as much as he gets anybody else over, and he definitely does a good job in these comedy spots, if you ask me.
It was my favorite part of the show. Like without a doubt, the questions and the replies and him looking like I got you, the gotcha moments. It was the favorite part of the show. It's like I'm pretty sure I'm gonna watch next week just because I want to see how this turns out.
I did.
That is awesome.
That's great. Yeah, no, him, especially when we get to the later ones with Father John Mitchell. I thought it was just the back and forth there was just hilarious. I genuinely enjoy when professional wrestling takes a step back and doesn't take itself 100% serious all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the
Excuse
thing
me.
about Impact is they definitely present their own style of professional wrestling. You really can't compare them to anyone else because they do their thing and then
Yeah,
they stay in their lane and they're like, okay, we're not trying to be this, we're not trying to be that. And with this whole segment, honestly, I don't think it works anywhere else. But they treat it, even though it's funny, they still treat it with seriousness. So there's an end game. So
yeah.
like I said, I came in not knowing a lot about it, and I'm like, by the end of the episode, I'm super intrigued and like, okay, I need to know who shot this guy.
Right,
That is such
exactly.
an awesome perspective from someone who's not regularly watching Impact like we are. That to see that this is an impactful segment and storyline. We actually, when we first started watching wrestling, where they were doing the Wrestle House comedy segments, that was my favorite part of the show, and I really wouldn't think it to be that way because I love New Japan. I love aggressive, hard hitting, hard style, make it look more like a fight wrestling. So when I first started, I was like, what in the hell is this? And now it's become one of my favorite parts of Impact. It's really funny, and like you mentioned, it is true. They have a plan. They will execute the plan. They'll go through with it. So it's not just wasted time comedy for the sake of comedy. They have an end point, an end plan.
Yeah,
Like I said, I'm genuinely excited to know what happens. I mean, it could be the biggest dud ever, but I won't feel like my time's wasted because I know that's where it was going from the beginning. There wasn't like a meeting 20 seconds before the show. Hey, okay, this guy did it now.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. Scott D'Amore and Don Callis definitely knew who was doing it the whole time. They know who's done it, and everyone's operating that way. But I don't know any predictions at this point. It doesn't look like Father John Mitchell is the murderer or the attempted murderer.
Yeah,
Uh,
I don't
I'm
think he would hide. I feel like Father John is he would like if he killed someone, he'd let everyone know that he did it.
Yeah, and he does make the point that he wouldn't have wasted all that virginal blood, which is a phrase that is used far too often, in my opinion, on Impact. But here we are. but but Sandy, you got any predictions? We're probably about halfway through Tommy's investigation, if I had to guess.
I
Any
have
ideas?
no idea. No clue whatsoever.
Yeah, I don't know, Floyd. What do you think? You think there's any maybe the old switcheroo, or maybe Tommy's the one who shot him? Maybe he shot himself.
Ooh.
I don't know.
My first thought when I saw the original segment was he shot himself somehow. Yeah, and that was my first thought. Like not knowing anything, I was like, it's gonna turn out he shot himself. But yeah, from the segments going forward, I've gotten a lot of laughs, but I haven't really narrowed it down to anyone yet.
Yeah, me
Mm.
neither. And we'll see. He hasn't interrogated really Rosemary and Ty yet. And so listen. I trust that Tommy's going to be thorough. I trust that he's going to be fair. I trust that he's going to get down to the bottom of it. And that's what's going to keep me tuning in. Above and beyond, also having a podcast obligation. So
Pretty sure he's
There
gonna
we go.
he's just gonna message you the answer before, so just don't spoil it,
I won't.
because
I
Oh
promise.
yeah,
you're
I
good
that.
promise.
friends.
No, that's a great point out of you, Floyd. Listen, Tommy and I, we trade ideas back and forth. Don't worry, I won't spoil anything. So the next match in this one, I was kind of looking forward to quite a bit here, but this one here is the X Division Championship match. Kind of interesting to have, and Impact will do this recently a lot, Floyd, where they'll just throw out their title matches anywhere in the card. Um, so having a title match go number two here is not out of bounds for them. They had the World Championship match lead off of a show once. So interesting placement on the card, but I thought it was a pretty good match.
Yeah, I'm a big TJP fan. Just always, I always knew his wrestling. His wrestling was great, but when he started adding that, the cocky attitude to everything he does and his submission style, from what I saw, it really improved him. So when I saw that he was in this match against Rohit, I was like, okay, this is going to be a really good match. And they did the stip where he can't ever defend against him again, which that's how I always think the stip should be. I never think it should be like you can never defend the title again. I was like,
Right.
just as long as he's champ, it makes sense. If you want to put TJP out of that division for a second, as long as Rohit's champ, it's great. I love this match. I really did. I really got into the match because I was like, man, TJP is gonna tap him out, and Rohit, man, dude, is so sneaky, and he does it in a way that it doesn't make the ref look stupid.
True.
So
True.
that it does it in a way, and it was like, oh, you were looking that way, I did this, and hit him with the knee. It was great. It was a great match. I really did. I'm like, great television match. I had no real bad critiques about the match. I thought it flowed really well.
Yeah, I liked it quite a bit too. And Sandy, this is your boy Rohit getting another defense.
My man. So Floyd, I'm actually a huge Rohit Raju fan. I discovered him by doing this podcast because I really wasn't watching Impact Wrestling either, and I'm like, oh my god, they have such great guys here, and this man is one of them that I'm like, why isn't he like the champion of everything in the world right now? I love him.
Yeah,
This match is so
he
much
has
fun.
he has a charisma that
Yes.
It's
in
cute.
everything that he does, that
Everything.
you believe everything that he does, and it's like even when he's on it, you want to look at him on the screen, and even when like he's in the ring with TJP, and you're like, what is he gonna do next? So I can definitely see what you're talking about there.
Hell yeah. And even as a despicable heel that's just doing sneaky shit right after the other, like just back him, like every single match he's had as a champion, and even the way he won it, even the way he got the match to happen so that he was able to win the title was all sneaky manipulation, just typical heel perfect, just chef's kiss, heel perfection, right?
Yeah.
And even though he does a good job of that character, I feel like it's so hard to hate him. Like, I hate him as a heel, but man, just his work, knowing him, what he has to do to get people to dislike him, I'm like, I am completely in love with him.
He's probably the best, probably current chicken shit heel that I can think of, and
Right
at
next to
least on
MJF.
TV, right? I mean, yeah, but MJF is also a little bit more of a powerhouse, a little bit more of a, with the exception
Yeah.
of using the ring, when he doesn't do that, he's a little bit more of a strength based wrestler and can really overpower guys, and he just kind of cheats unnecessarily just to cheat. But I feel like Rohit really sells that he kind of has to do it,
Has to, yep.
by
much
hook
more
or by
believable.
crook, right? So,
Yeah, definitely.
so really good match. I enjoyed it quite a bit as well. And I thought too, like after the low blow, that Shining Wizard was pretty awesome. I mean, he hit that thing pretty flush. Looked great. Both guys are awesome. I mean, it just is what it is. But moving on from that, we get to move into one of my least favorite storylines currently in Impact, and we do try to keep it positive, so I'll keep my comments, kind of minimal here. But the wad of cash that was stolen from Hernandez by Falaba to pay for Johnny Bravo's wedding, that Falaba decided to keep, is now been stolen by Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz. And I just kind of am ready for them to just kind of wrap up this wad of money story.
You know what? I was feeling like that at first, because first of all, okay, we came into doing this podcast and getting really into Impact when Hernandez had it. He was just doing the arm wrestling thing
Right.
for the money, I guess, right? And then somehow it's kind of possessed Falab by like the ring from the Lord of the Rings, how Gollum was like, my precious. I feel like that's kind of what he's doing now. He keeps holding it and just like rubbing it, like, oh my gosh, it's still here. It gives me power. It gives me energy. And now it's been stolen. I'm actually kind of intrigued by the, like, my interest completely dipped. And I was like, okay, let's get it over with. Now it's peaking again. Now that it's been stolen by Kiera, Hogan, and Tasha Steelz. And the way they did it too was so comical to me. I was watching that whole segment. I was like, oh my God, what are they doing? For a moment, I didn't even realize that Tasha was stealing the wad of money. And I was like, oh no! And then now my interest is peaked again.
So
we'll
if
see.
I ever need to steal a wad of cash from Sandy, I just need someone else to distract her and have her look the other way. That's what I got out of that.
Well, I thank you both, because you gave me color on a segment I had no clue what was going on.
Oh my God! Yeah, you're probably like, what the
I
hell
don't even
is this?
I don't even know what they're doing, and I was like,
Floyd,
okay.
this is like, I mean, this wad of cash has been part of storylines going back almost all the way to Slammiversary.
Wow.
Yeah, so this is like a really long threaded storyline, because originally Heath had stolen the wad of cash from Hernandez to pay for more commercials to air during Impact for his
That's right.
campaign #Heath for Impact. So and of course he decided to charge up his credit cards because he figured he'd use the cash later, and then of course he winds up getting the cash stolen, and then so on and so forth. It's literally, I mean, we're going on like 2.5 months of this wad of cash being a storyline.
Okay, I was
It's
gonna
like the
say.
Lord of the Rings. It's
Yeah.
just been traveling all over. Everyone wants it. It's been stolen. It's been searched for. It's given Falab weirdness and powers and something, I don't know.
One thing I can say just from the initial, I am very much a fan of Kiera Hogan on the mic.
Yes.
Yes.
She is like I haven't seen her in months, but her talk is just so much more like confident and charismatic, and you could hear the deception in her voice, but I didn't know what they were doing. I didn't know I didn't know what was going on. So when you said you missed it, I'm like, yeah, I missed it too. I have no idea what happened in this episode. So okay, wad of cash.
Funny.
Okay, cool. All right.
So
now we know. Now you're up to date.
yeah, now you're up to date on the follow the money storyline there, and there were some thoughts, because Hernandez thought that Johnny Bravo had the money, So there were some accusations that, well, maybe Hernandez shot Johnny Bravo because of the money, and I just, who knows? But we'll keep an eye on both of those things. They might be related. But we get a preview here from the tag team division. We get a one-on-one match between Team Triple XL's AC Romero and the Motor City Machine Guns' Chris Sabin. This is, I think, the first match, Sandy, since we started doing this podcast, where we really got to see a lot of AC Romero just kind of working. And man, I got to tell you something. I really enjoyed this match. I thought the hits were hard. I thought there was a lot of effort out of both guys.
100%. Dude, I think this was my favorite match of the night. AC Romero looked fantastic. And like, I rolled my eyes when I saw them come out. I was like, oh, here we go. Big man, little man storyline, the same old, same old. I think we've talked about this before, where I'm not the biggest fan because it's always done the same way. But man, AC Romero can move. The man can bump. The man can run. The man is agile. For his size, it's crazy. And of course, we have Chris Sabin. He's, of course, one of the greatest. I feel like he could get a great match from just about anyone, but that's not to take anything away from Romero. That match, they both look absolutely fantastic. Now, of course, Chris Sabin does get the win, and Larry D then attacks post-match. That was the part I didn't like because I feel like AC alone comes off like such a likable babyface that I kind of wish he was a singles guy and making a babyface run rather than, with Larry D.
Yeah, turning that team heel is kind of, I guess they're running light on heel tag teams. And they're going to be running light on the tag team division, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But Floyd, what was your reaction here to this match?
Well, Team Triple XL, since I am a Triple XL human, I do like their name. I didn't know that was really a thing. I like the gimmick. AC, the amount of effort he's put to lose weight, and you see it in his in-ring movement. He's much more agile. He kept up, Chris Sabin's consummate professional, in the game forever, and they put together a really good match there. Very much highlighted AC's strengths, and they booked Chris strong. And I thought him getting jumped afterwards was the catalyst for what happens later when he has to go find help. So I definitely like that part.
Yep,
lots of consistency when it comes to the programming and Impact. They follow through, and then things make sense. Unlike the Big E, where sometimes just things happen for no reason, or they do happen and it's just why you're just left confused. Like exactly like you said, Floyd. This kind of sets up Chris Sabin. It's like, hey, I keep getting attacked. Now I'm alone. I need someone while Alex Shelley is out.
Right. Exactly.
It made sense. It makes sense. Yeah.
It did, and we'll get to that scene. But that spot definitely made me chuckle quite a bit when he was at the bar. But before we do that, we already touched on the Tommy Dreamer stuff pretty heavy, so we'll skip over mentioning that again, just because we already talked about the Father John Mitchell stuff, which I think is in this segment here. And we also have Chris Bay backstage talking to Sami Callihan about.
Gosh, I'm so sorry to interrupt.
Yes, what did I miss?
But the Rascals departing Impact. The Treehouse segment.
Oh, did I miss that?
Oh my gosh, yes. We have to talk about it.
I didn't write that down. Excuse me. Yeah, I guess I forgot to write that down. The Treehouse segment.
You're sad, I understand.
I am sad. And this was a talk in our group chat a little bit the other day. But yeah, the Rascals, all three of them, leaving Impact Wrestling after next Tuesday. Really sad. A real big staple of the tag team division here. Trey Miguel's been a staple of the X division. We've talked about on this podcast before that anytime you need someone to just go and do a match, you could just send out the Rascals, or you could send out Trey Miguel, or anytime you needed someone to go and have a good match, those guys are all there. I think the word on the street is they're going to be going to the Big E. But not necessarily where I would like to see them. I would prefer to see them in a tag division that, actually values tag team wrestling like Impact did and like AEW does. But yeah, Sandy, you're a big Dez fan. Sad day.
I was super sad, especially seeing all three of them go. You can definitely see these guys being top stars as a trio, as a tag team, no matter what variation you do, as single stars. I mean, they deserve to be somewhere that's going to give them that audience and that big paycheck.
Right.
This is all still a job. We want to do what we love for a living, and you got to go where you get the pay eventually. And these guys are still young; they got to get that exposure out there. So if they are going to WWE, I mean, congratulations! I can see Dez being the champion of everything in there. Man, I'm sad. This is a huge loss for Impact, but on the positive side, like we keep it positive here, the way they're doing the departure, absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, I
It's
like that a
not
lot.
negative. It's not just like good luck on your future endeavors. It's not just bye or no explanation. They're leaving with their tree house being evicted, which I thought was so cute. That Des didn't know what convicted and evicted the difference was. They're in their tree house, which is their staple. They're leaving together. They're doing a big blow off, hopefully. I think we actually will see that next week. And it's really sad, but I love the way they're going about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when people leave Impact, they do it in the most creative ways, and the fact that in this case, this team that has literally been there and they've gotten their fan base, but they take a lot of losses, unfortunately, and they don't. I don't think they've ever won the tag belts there,
They have
correct?
not.
No,
Yeah,
you're correct.
so it's like, they've done, they have been a staple of Impact for the last couple of years, and Fresh Prince of Midair is like the best name ever. It's like the best name ever. And so it's very cool that they're giving them, hey, they're giving them a match, and then they're gonna, highlight themselves on the way out. I do wish them the best in WWE. I always wish everyone the best in WWE. I hope their experiences are different than any, other people's that I've seen. I just like, but you know, I look at them and I'm like, okay, little guys probably not gonna get pushed, but hey, you know what? Get paid. Nothing wrong with getting paid. And they're
Right.
still young enough to, after they get paid, if they want to, go elsewhere, that they can still have long careers where they get maybe more pushed in it. But I do wish them the best in the WWE. I got a funny Zachary Wentz. Well, not funny Zachary Wentz. Interesting Zachary Wentz. Me and he actually used my CBS account to watch Cleveland Browns football.
Interesting.
Yes, cause
Oh.
yeah, it was about a year ago. He was in an area. He was out of state, and he couldn't. They didn't have the Cleveland Browns game locally, and I have NFL Sunday ticket, so I have access to every game. So
Sure.
I gave him my. Actually, he couldn't watch the local game because you have to have CBS All Access. I sent him my creds on Twitter so he could watch it.
That's
That's pretty awesome.
awesome.
That is pretty great. And
You're so generous.
I when I say I don't want them to go to WWE, it's merely just a selfish, what matches I want to see kind of thing. But now that I'm thinking about it, if they wind up going to NXT first, which they probably will, you could see the Rascals and Undisputed Era. You could see the Rascals and Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch. So, maybe Mustache Mountain at some point. So,
Fantasmo De Legato or Dale, I don't know how
right.
to say
Yep.
their name. Yeah, because they have a three-man small person trio.
They
That
do.
would be great, with Trey or Dez going after the 205 Live
Right.
title. Yeah.
Right. So,
They will
yeah, I
kill
mean,
it. They're gonna kill it everywhere. I'm so
we'll
happy
see
for
what
them.
happens. I mentioned this in the group chat. It's interesting that Wentz is going to WWE just because his wife had such a horrible time there. But listen, he's at a different spot in his career, I think, than she was at the time. So, and she's at Impact now. So it's kind of interesting to kind of see how they kind of are flip flopping places there. But yeah, certainly, wish the best of the Rascals, and we'll get to talk about them on this podcast at least one more time next week. which we'll go ahead and
Oh,
just say is it's going to be Desmond Wentz versus Trey Miguel and Rich Swann, which I thought was a pretty cool, pretty good match to go out on next week. But before
hell
we
yeah.
get there, we do have Chris Bay backstage collaborating with Sami Callihan. And then we have a match between Chris Bay and Eddie Edwards. I thought this was a pretty good match. Chris Bay does a lot of the choreographed stuff. So if you like those really good choreographed spots that really showcase athleticism, Chris Bay is your type of guy. Eventually leads to Eddie Edwards kind of dodging an attack and then kind of counter pinning him, which I thought was an interesting way to finish that match. And of course, we get a post-match confrontation. Really, kind of, it was there. It was a match. It was pretty good work. And then I thought it kind of ended abruptly, and then it was kind of strange after that.
Yeah, I didn't know what was going on. I'm watching it, and I was like, the match ends, and then they got Ken Shamrock coming out to attack people, and then you had Chris Bay hitting everyone with the chair, and then they're
Right.
kind of standing there, and I'm like, are they a group? I'm like,
Yeah, so
they,
Sami Callihan and Ken Shamrock have been kind of buddy for a while,
yeah,
going back to Slammiversary, and then yeah, the introduction of Chris Bay to that to make that trio, and then to have Rich come out and save Eddie, but only momentarily, and then to have the Rascals come out and clean house. It was it just you know it, I don't know what else to say about it really. I don't know, Sandy, you got anything to add there?
No, it was there. I like the fact that, the Rascals came out for the win, because later on we do see Rich Swann, being thankful and congratulating them. And then, of course, saying his goodbyes. And then that's how we get, their matchup or their send off. So that ties in together nicely. But yeah, we don't know exactly what happened, what Sami Callihan has said to Chris Bay while he was trying to finesse the finesser. So we don't know what kind of deal they made there. That we don't know exactly. I'm sure we'll get to find out, why Chris Bay has decided to build this alliance with Sami Callihan. But right now, there's a lot of questions, and it was just save after save after save. Rich Swann for the save, Ken for the save. They're best friends, and just lots of moving parts, lots going on. But I think we'll get to understand more about this story later on.
Yeah, we do have a turning point match that we'll preview with Rich Swann and Sami Callihan, so that may be, just all to lead us to that. But it was nonetheless a little messy, but that's all right.
Yeah.
And then after that, we see backstage, Tennille Dashwood tries to get Caleb with a K to ask Jordan Grace to be her tag partner. And of course, Jordan Grace says that Tennille can ask herself. And then so she does after some prodding, and then Jordan says, "Okay, listen, you get a shot to earn me as a tag partner, essentially at Turning Point." I think they're going to win at Turning Point. And we'll get into that preview there, but an interesting little backstage segment to kind of get over to. There was a string of backstage segments here at this point. We already talked about the Desmond Wentz versus Trey and Rich. And the next thing is Deonna Purrazzo doing a backstage interview. Kimberly kind of goes missing, and then we
She's
see
murdered.
I think she's dead. I don't know.
yeah. It very much seems like she got murdered.
Yes. Where's Tommy Dreamer investigating that one? I gotta send him a message.
I think he's too scared. I think he's too scared of Sue to investigate that one. And it was pretty obvious
Yeah.
who did it. It wasn't like she was lying.
Oh,
That's true.
no.
Yeah, it's an open and shut case. Open and shut case. No need to waste Tommy's time on that. I get it, right? But yeah, no, it was an interesting backstage segment, and they definitely are selling this, Sue Young being otherworldly, as they always do. But yeah, I think Deonna might be in for a hurting on Saturday night at Turning Point.
I cannot wait for that match. It's going to be great. And you know what? With Impact, I feel like they have too many of those, dead, undead, creepy, underground, whatever the hell type of characters. The one that I feel like is the most well-suited for the show and best executed is the one with Sue Young, 100%. Yeah. The Rosemary one, I'm like, whatever. And Crazy Steve, he has the whole, I mean, I guess it's not like the dead thing. It's more like just crazy, but I'm still like, whatever. Sue Young, the hands down the best one they have there. And I feel like they have too much. So if anything, they just need to keep her doing that.
Yeah, and she has been like, even when I was watching when she first debuted, they have been the most consistent with her. As
Yeah.
far as how she doesn't go in and out of having powers. It doesn't, like when she went to Suzy, she literally had a mental break, and that was a different side of her character. So there was a reason she wasn't doing the mystical stuff. So when it
Right.
comes back, it's like, if you're a long-term fan, it doesn't seem out of place because they have been so consistent so long with it.
Yeah, no,
Very
and
much.
it's really good, and I think Soo Young is an excellent worker too, and that really helps sell the character also. If you have this, undead character that can't work, then it just looks bad, right? I mean, but I think she does a really good job, and I'm excited for that match, and we'll touch on it again briefly as we kind of come up to there. Um, and then we do have. I didn't even think this match wasn't advertised at all, and when you see who the competitors are, it kind of makes sense that it wasn't advertised. But we get Reno Scum, which is of course Adam Thornstowe and Lester the Legend, against Crazy Steve and Falaba, a tag team that makes no sense, and they don't explain why they're tagging together ever. Um, but yeah, I mean, it was a match. It was less than four
It, it
minutes.
it happened. I honestly don't remember it. I can't even tell you who won. I know I watched it, but I don't remember who won.
The only spot that I
Oh, Reno
remember,
Scum.
the only spot that I remember, I think, was Crazy Steve had his face put in Adam Thornstowe's armpit. And I think that's about the only, yeah, that's the only spot
Yeah.
that I remember. But yeah, no, Reno Scum does pick up the win. Like I said, it's very inconsequential to anything else in the show. I think they just probably said, okay, let's do a short match to fill time. Because yeah, as we know, these are kind of taped in advance, so they can kind of plug and play. Probably they might have even had that match taped for another episode that they just figure they'll just stick in here. Who knows how they kind of decide these things. Um,
I will say, I paid attention to the match. Reno Scum, they've become a tag team that at first I was like, who the hell are these people? There's too much with their gear, their haircuts, their tattoos, too distracting. But they are fantastic in the ring, and I love Falaba. Crazy
yeah,
Steve, I'm kind of just like whatever about. But I thought the comeback for Falaba. God, I hope I'm saying his name right. My accent comes out sometimes. I thought his comeback was fantastic. He's just in the ring doing the freaking the palm strikes, which is what he
right.
does. So he looks like a freaking anime character almost to me. And he's very quick in there. He went through all the match itself was very very well done. And of course we do see Reno Scum with the win after their, I think this is their finishing move. I didn't get the name of it. It looked brutal. So the buffer guy, I don't even know their names either. He goes behind him and kind of locks the legs of Falab while he's on his belly in the ring, and the other guy comes in from the second or the top rope and just kind of dives in onto the shoulder and the arm of Falab. And I was like, oh my god, that looked brutal. Like if he didn't let go of the arm in time, I feel like that could really cause some damage. So I was actually like kind of scared by that move, but I thought that was a brutal win, and I thought the comeback was amazing too. So I actually liked it.
All right. Hey, listen, if you like it, you like it. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't remember much of it. I like Reno Scum's work when they just get in there and start working. They do definitely have that '80s punk rock CBGB vibe. Like they got their thigh high Doc Martens on the weekends and they're going to punk shows. Is kind of what it feels like. Um,
Mm.
and especially with Lester's cheetah print mohawk buzzed hair deal going on, which my 5-year-old is a huge fan of. He thinks that guy looks so cool, which is we'll have to talk about that, about how he can't go to school looking like that. But yeah, no, it
They
happened.
can work, and I feel like they always give it their all. It doesn't matter like who they're facing, how short or long the matches were in the card they are. These are great workers.
Yeah,
Hopefully
I
they're
mean,
able to kind of advance and progress more and be able to show their work with some better opponents down the road
yeah,
within the
well,
tag
they've been
division.
around a
There's great
long time,
potential.
so I mean,
Oh shit, that's right.
yeah. So
To
who
me, they're
knows?
so new
I know, yeah. For
because
everyone's new to
I just
us,
found out about them.
right? Exactly. But yeah, so we kind of buried the lead earlier, but there is as Chris Sabin goes to the bar to find himself some help. This popped me. I really enjoyed this segment quite a bit, especially when Saban couldn't handle the beer, because I get it. There's some beers that are kind of gross, but especially ones that are just labeled as cowboy beer. Um, but but yeah, I don't know, Floyd. This as a longtime TNA Impact observer at the very minimum, how did this
Yeah,
make you feel?
yeah, it definitely popped me. I love James Storm. One of like in meet and greets that I've done, always one of the nicest people. Even in non meet and greet situations where you're just kind of in the same place, he just is always happy and nice. So I love James Storm with that part of him. And then as far as his work, 8 second ride, all the different moves he's done. I just loved it. America's Most Wanted, Beer Money. Even when he was basically like a knockoff Bray Wyatt, I've always enjoyed his character, so I am looking forward to it.
And
Him,
he's shredded to a million pieces. So I mean,
dude, he's put in
he's
so
always
much
been
work as he gotten older to even
yeah.
get more in shape. I imagine he can't drink as much beer as it comes off as he drinks and look
Right.
like he does.
Probably, I think you're probably right there. But I mean, he was most recently doing work in NWA, and I believe his contract ran out, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right, Floyd?
I believe it did, because they dropped the NWA tag belts at the last taping. To I guess it was Sandow, the guy that Sandow and Kratos. So yeah, I
Okay.
believe his contract's up. Well, a few NWA contracts have ended in the last month or so, and you've seen a lot of moving around there.
Yeah, and we might see another one show up here at some point. That's Allison Kay. Of course, she did make an AEW debut over the weekend as well. So we'll keep an eye on where she goes. Maybe she comes into Impact. But
Pinky's
and then
up.
yeah, Pinky's out. I did get to see Allison Kay. I think it was Mae Young Classic 2. I got to see her wrestle a couple times. And I've always been a fan of anything I've seen her. And listen, if Impact wants to replenish some of those people leaving, NWA's roster is going to get more and more available. So keep an eye on where those people go for sure.
Absolutely, looking forward to it.
So Sandy, why don't you get us into this main event here?
I have to briefly mention a wild moose sighting before we
Oh,
get to
true,
this match.
true.
We have a doctor checking in on Willie Mack backstage. Apparently, he has a was it bruised laryngitis? Or
Larynx.
no, larynx. What the hell was wrong with me? And right after being cleared, like I said, I literally yelled this out loud. I was at home watching this by myself. I was like, a wild moose appears. I've been playing way too much Pokemon Go. So yeah, it was really quick. It was Willie Mack pretty much said no and said, "I will see you at Turning Point." And then the camera just kind of zooms in on Moose with his creepy smile. Now he's still wearing his suit. I'm glad he's kind of doing this crazy kind of like EC3 was doing. EC3 totally got in the mind of Moose, so now he's doing this whole different persona of controlling his own narrative.
Yep.
And I'm excited for this one at Turning Point. But you'll do the preview for us. And then of course we have the main event that we mentioned earlier. We have Josh Alexander. He comes out with Ethan Page, and he will be up against Carl Anderson, who of course comes out to with Luke Gallows, the big LG. And yeah, this match was hectic, hard hitting. This is the one where earlier I mentioned there was a right hand from Alexander, directly followed by a clothesline by Anderson. My jaw dropped. That right hook from Josh to Carl was directly in the freaking jaw, and I don't know how this man didn't get knocked out because it was brutal. And then immediately just, oh my god, I was watching this just like, ooh, they were gonna like get into a shoot fight here, but no, it looked fantastic. What did you guys think?
I loved how physical the match was. Carl Anderson is he's one of those people when in New Japan, when I like first started watching New Japan, which wasn't that long ago, but he was there. He was one of the people that caught my eye and how physical and how crisp everything he did was. And then the Walking Weapon is pretty much kind of in the same mold. They are very much people that can execute in wrestling and make it look as physical as possible. So I really dug this match. It very much rang strong style to me. I enjoyed this match a lot.
Same,
Okay.
and you know, in true championship preview form, of course, it breaks down at the end. Um, these guys are going to beat the absolute piss out of each other at Turning Point, and I'm very excited for that match. Um, but yeah,
I'm so
no,
excited.
really good main event to close out the night. Nice, crisp, free, fast moving episode here. Um, Looking forward to next week's episode where we start to do the Knockouts Tag Team Titles Tournament. And then, of course, also the Rascals and Rich Swann doing their little match there. But before that, we got to get to Turning Point, which, if you're listening to this day of the release, it will be tonight on Fight TV or on Impact Plus. So we'll just kind of do a quick rundown. We'll do quick predictions, and then we'll get on with the rest of the show. But first match here on the card, and this is one that was announced, I believe, on Impact's website, is Chris Sabin and James Storm are going to kick this thing off against Team Triple XL. So
Nice.
I'm excited to see this one right off the bat. We'll see how the chemistry between Sabin and Storm looks. I expect this one probably go 8 to 10 minutes and be a real hard hitting affair. Especially after Sabin gave AC those 3 enziguris in a row to get him down for the pin. But yeah, no, I'm excited for this one. But I'm gonna say Team Triple XL picks up the win here. Floyd, what do you think?
I gotta go with my boy James Storm. Yeah, someone's gonna take a last call. It's just you bring him in. I wouldn't say just that nostalgia. You don't want him to lose.
Right.
So I think you give James Storm the win, and maybe Chris Sabin and him get attacked after the match, and to continue it going forward.
Okay. Sandy, what do you think?
I agree with you there. I feel like they can't have James Storm come in and then immediately losing, unless maybe it's by some, they take him out somehow, and then he comes back with a vengeance, and now you have a feud between those two, which would be great for Team. Is it double or triple XL? Why did I already blank out?
Triple XL.
Triple XL.
Triple XL. And then that's great that they'll have a storyline that feels a little bit more impactful, no pun intended, and and more meaningful in their tag team run. So I feel like the longer this goes, the better it will be for them.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see.
We will see. And this is leads us to another match that was announced on Impact.com. This is, of course, Mr. Boston himself, Eddie Edwards, taking on Daivari. Now, Daivari made a return in the Kali Shark Gauntlet match at Bound for Glory, and so we'll now see him in one-on-one action with Eddie Edwards, which is kind of interesting because we haven't seen Daivari at all since Bound for Glory. But it should be an interesting match. I'm going to say Eddie Edwards picks up the win, just because they haven't even had Daivari on TV yet.
Yeah, this just seems like a enhancement match in essence. So
Yeah.
Boston Knee Party match over.
Agreed.
Yeah, that was an easy one for us. Three for three. We do have a Defeat Rohit challenge promised. I don't know who is going to answer the call. We do know that TJP, of course, cannot answer the call. But outside of that, who knows? We'll have to see. But I think no matter what, well, she's in the match already.
Dang it.
So
I
don't think she. Yeah, well, she could. She could work overtime. But I think either way, I think Rohit's walking away from Turning Point with the X Division Championship.
Absolutely.
Hell yes, my man.
So the aforementioned Jordan Grace teams up with Tennille Dashwood in Tennille Dashwood's quote-unquote tryout match. And they're going to take on a pretty tough team here in Rosemary and Taya. I think that because they need to lead to the tag team tournaments here, I think Tennille and Jordan pick up the win.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see it going the other way. It wouldn't make a lot of sense going, them losing. So I'd see maybe we get some kind of distraction with Tommy Dreamer maybe trying to interview Rosemary during the middle of her match. and costing her the match. I'm just kind of spitballing here. I'm like, I'm not an expert.
Well, I will say this: it
That would
does
be interesting.
in the match description. It does say, meanwhile, Rosemary and Ty Valkyrie look to tune up for the tournament, while the shooting of Johnny Bravo weighs heavily on their minds. So you might be onto something there, Floyd.
Yeah,
There you go.
just a guess, man. I was about to say if I was right, I wouldn't even pat myself on the back because I was just kind of throwing something out there.
Sandy, are you going to go make it 3 for 3 here? That you think Danielle and Jordan pick up the win?
Yes, sir.
All right, moving forward. Unless you got anything else to add there, Sandy.
Oh no.
Nope. Okay, cool. I'll let you predict this one first, since Floyd and I have been taking the talking points there. But this next one is going to be an interesting match. It is Brian Myers, the most professional wrestler, taking on Swoggle.
Stop. Swaggle's
So
gonna get the win.
it's not a no DQ match. It looks like it's a regular rules match. But yeah, I mean,
Brother.
yeah. So you're gonna say Swoggle here, Sandy?
Could you imagine? I can't. Why would you have me predict this one first?
I'm just putting you on the spot. That's all.
No, man. I swear, if Homeboy doesn't win, if the most professional wrestler doesn't win, I'm gonna write a strongly worded letter to Impact.
Floyd, what are your thoughts on this match?
I could see Swoggle having a lot of false finishes, trying to get you to believe he's gonna win, and then the most professional wrestler does something sneaky and pulls it out.
Yeah, I think it'll be one of those things where they're like, really, Brian, you had to cheat to beat Swoggle, like, and I feel like that could linger and turn into a storyline later on. But I think Brian Myers picks up the win.
5-star match, guaranteed.
At least, at least.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why we don't do star ratings on this show, Floyd. Just because Impact has so much stuff that doesn't really fit that traditional rating mold. I think this is definitely one of those ones where you couldn't give it a star rating if you tried.
Absolutely, I completely agree.
Moving right along here, we got a couple left on the card. It's a pretty big card, but we do have uh, former guest trainer of Sandy, Moose, taking on Willie Mack. Sandy, you took some lessons from Moose. You think he's going to throw these out and take out Willie here?
Oh, I don't know. Willie Mack, man, he's one of my favorites. This is going to be, I am very intrigued by this one because I know it's going to be, hopefully, it's going to be fantastic. But we're trying to build a storyline with Moose. I feel like this is the main focus, his storyline, his character development. So I feel, well, no, because, he could lose in I don't know. I honestly
It's hard
have no
because
idea.
I think that the whole point of Moose controlling his narrative and taking that mantle from EC3 is that he is now taking the aggression that EC3 showed and is now trying to get other people to get aggressive too. That's why he was happy that Willie attacked him. Um, I think Moose is winning. I think Moose is winning, but
Yes,
uh,
Moose, the man that's been doing unsanctioned titles before doing unsanctioned titles was cool. Yeah, I think he goes ahead and beats up on Willie Mack. I think it's going to be a very physical match. Probably if I'm listening to the other matches, match of the night, just because of the control your narrative thing that EC3 did. It's going to be they're going to try to turn up the violence in the match. So I think it's going
yeah,
to be something people are talking about.
I'm
yeah, I
excited.
think that's a great point. So we got three more to talk about here. The next one on the card, the Impact World Tag Team Championship match. Well, first is with the defending champions, the North, of course, Ethan Page and Josh Alexander, taking on the challenging team of the Good Brothers, Carl Anderson and the Big LG, Doc Gallows. Floyd, why don't you take this one first?
Okay, so this is a very hard one for me. I was actually thinking about it before we got on here about who I thought I was gonna win, but I don't think. you want to do that big a title change on this show on Turning Point. I mean, it's a good show, but it's not like their big pay-per-views. And people have the big LG, the club or whatever. They have a strong following, so
They do.
I think the North gets away with the belts. I don't know if they win. I think they might retain the belts like by DQ. I don't think it's going to be a clean win either way.
I think that's a pretty good call there. Sandy, what do you think?
I was just fed asparagus. And I think the North is keeping those titles. It is too soon to take it off of them. They are fantastic. I love Ethan Page. Josh Alexander tonight, I love it when he's put in one-on-one matches because I feel like Ethan Page tends to overshadow Josh just because he's the more quiet one, the worker, the workhorse in the tag team, and Ethan Page is the mouth, the character. So I love seeing him one-on-one to really show what he can do. And the North, they're winning one way or another, and I hope it's clean, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm torn because I'm looking at this, right? There's 4 belts defended on this night. Um, if I'm trying to pick one that could change, I think this is probably the one that would. But I mean, they haven't. I don't believe the Good Brothers have lost a team against team uh, regular tag match yet since being in Impact. So, man, it's tough. I'm gonna break the mold. And I'm gonna say Good Brothers. Just
Ooh.
to throw that out there. But this one, I believe, we will probably all agree on, and that's the Knockouts Championship match, which is a no DQ affair between the challenger Deonna Purrazzo and the champion, of course, the Undead Bride, Su Yung. I'm gonna go out and I'm just gonna get us started here. Yeah, Su Yung in a no DQ match. She wins it going away. I don't see how. It's tailor made for Su Young's character to just do whatever the heck she wants. And she also killed Kimberly, so Deanna won't have help on the outside. So that's where I'm at.
Murder.
Yeah, I mean that's one way to even out the playing field. Murder the other person's help. Su Young. Yeah, I don't see with that in. I don't see her losing this match. I think it'll be a very good match. Which her and Deanna put on an amazing match when the title switched hands. So
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to this being just as good.
So yes, 100% agreed. And it's interesting though because we get to see how this storyline is going to play out, especially being that Kylie Rae's out of the picture, and I really feel like they were going to put the title on her at Bound for Glory. So now it's like, oh shit, okay, well plans change. Now they've had to. Who knows what they did? Either plan out ahead of time now that they knew Kylie Rae wasn't going to be in the picture, or if they're kind of just going week by week. I know they do tapings, but it was still a lot on them to put on the spot and say, hey, what is the direction that we want to go now? Because that person that we thought was going to be here is no longer here. So it's interesting. I thought they've done a great job with it, and I'm excited for this match. But yeah, I think Su Yung retains for sure.
yeah, I agree. It's just it doesn't feel like they're. It feels like this was what was gonna happen, just with Kylie Rae, not Su Yung. And so just because it's Su Yung now going forward with it, I think you can run a lot of that same storyline kind of stuff. And I'm interested to see because this is Deonna Purrazzo's rematch clause match. I'm interested to see if Su Yung does win, who comes into the picture next. But this leads us to our main event. Unbelievably, Sami Callihan in another Impact World Championship title match. This time, of course, challenging Rich Swann, who did defeat Eric Young at Bound for Glory. This will be a good match, I think, in the ring. I hope the shenanigans will be kept to a minimum. But knowing Sami, he's at one point going to take out his cell phone and probably turn off the lights. And then Ken Shamrock will probably appear. But yeah, I think Rich Swann, he overcame Eric Young. I think he'll be able to overcome Sami Callihan here.
The
Agreed.
fact that Ken Shamrock is a part of a main event angle in 2020 is just wow. It's wow, and the fact that he looks like he does as far as being in shape, he probably has the best physique of anybody in Impact, and that's not saying people in Impact don't have a great physique. It's just he's genetic freak. But I'm looking at this match, and of course, you got to look how you're building Rich Swann as your champion. He's not going to lose his first defense, and Sami Callihan, very good utility player. I always have to commend him when people talk about the best people in Impact. He's always there. He's always involved, and he's always willing to put people over. So definitely think Rich Swann is going to win this one.
Yep, I agree, and it may set up this match may set up his next challenger, whether that be Chris Bay. Ken Shamrock might challenge him at some point. Who knows, right? This is a year in Impact Wrestling where we saw Rob Van Dam challenge Eddie Edwards for the championship on a TV taping. So anything can happen in Impact. We'll keep our eyes on what happens here with this. But yeah, I mean that's the card. I think it's going to be a pretty great show. I'm looking forward to watching it.
So is this on like Fight TV, or how do you watch it?
It is on Fight TV through your Impact Plus membership or on Impact Plus.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's pretty easy to watch either way. I will say that the last special show they did, and I can't remember the name of it right now. Victory Road. Victory Road had some technical problems at the front of it. That the opening match, the kind of pre-show match, didn't really broadcast properly. So I'm hoping that they have that ironed out ahead of time. Although they had some technical issues at Bound for Glory as well. So, hopefully everything with their setup is fixed, because that can be a kind of a drag.
Yeah, you want to talk about things that'll stop your product from growing, technical issues. People hate that.
Oh, yeah.
You have to have it together, and during
Yes.
this time and time in the world, you have to have that stuff together.
You don't have fan noise helping you out with your little dead spots and different things like that. You really got to pay attention to that. But yeah, so fingers crossed. I'm looking forward to it. We're less than 24 hours away at recording. The show will be over by this time tomorrow. So I'm ready for it. But to switch gears a little bit here, this was a pretty big week in video games as the next generation of consoles is here. The long-awaited Xbox Series X, of course, being shipped out with a companion system, the Xbox Series S, and then the PS5 and the PS5 Digital Edition are now, well, I shouldn't say now hitting shelves. They are off of shelves already. Very hard to find, very sold out. But Floyd, you were able to procure a Series X and a PS5 regular edition. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, I got lucky. Both through Walmart. They announced that their times were a few weeks ago when they were doing the pre-orders, or a month ago or whatever. They did hey, this is what time it started. I was somehow able to add to cart and pay for it, unlike other people. The PS5 is mine. I am been a diehard Sony guy my whole life. I've gotten day one editions of 2, 3, 4, and now 5. And so, and then the Xbox I bought for my friend because I missed her 40th birthday. Yeah, we had a conversation, and she was like, I don't even want my birthday acknowledged. Blah, blah. She was like, I don't want to acknowledge. So I was like, okay. So I didn't acknowledge it. I'm a big birthday guy. So it really hurt me. It's like not acknowledging and ignored me. And then she was like, why didn't, she's like, people were giving her gifts. And I was like, I thought you didn't want me to acknowledge it. She's like, yeah, I didn't want you to say anything, but I wanted you to buy me a gift. I was like, oh,
What?
To me, not acknowledging is not acknowledging. I'm like, I didn't acknowledge it. I didn't.
Right. Just pretend you're not 40, right? That's
exactly.
That's
what it
sure.
meant. So I didn't do anything. So I was like, I have to go big to make up for it. So I got her Xbox house, so yeah, we got to power it on, and she loaded up the Sims on it and played it for a while. Uh, Controller's nice to hold in your hand. I'm not a like I said, I'm not a traditionally an Xbox guy, but of course it looked beautiful. She sent me pictures, and she just because I asked her about it because she was like. Have a little synopsis of each one, and she was like, the graphics are great. She thinks they were upgraded from Xbox 360. She likes how the controller feels in her hand. She's in the whatever that Microsoft membership that you have to be in because I paid
Game
for that.
Pass, yeah.
Game Pass. Game Pass. She's like, but she hadn't had a chance to download it. The thing about me and her, unfortunately, we both work like 80 hours a week. So, so we have systems that we haven't got to really touch. But she says she loves it, and she's not no overheating issues, nothing, no power off issues, anything that the few errors that I've seen reported, she hasn't had any of those. Now, the PlayStation 5, which I've been playing on most of the day, I can tell you, controller, a lot more sensitive than PlayStation 4. I play a game called Warframe. You've probably heard of it.
Hmm.
And playing it on the PS5, of course, everything's faster, refresh rate. It looks cleaner. But it was very much sensitive. I had to do a few levels before I could know I didn't have to press going forward, left and right as hard as I did initially, which it's very sensitive to touch. The vibrating and the rumble feature is great. I played Spider-Man for a while. I suck at it. I'm not very good. I did not play the original Spider-Man. I guess the one that this is off of. So the web slinging, which I guess it's something they teach you in the first one, that is very much natural to other people, was not for me because I am a sports gamer. I play Madden. And I play NBA 2K and I play stuff like that. So
Sure.
I'm getting there. I didn't even put it on like hard mode, or it was like on medium. And the first thing you have to do is try to catch up with Rhino, and it was just like, you have failed this mission. You have failed this mission. You have failed it, like over and over again. It was fun. It's fun because I'm learning how to use the controller, and then of course I loaded up Madden and played the game. Looks, it's the improvement on graphics. You have to have kind of a trained eye to see because I couldn't really see any difference. It does look
Okay.
clean, but I was playing the game, and of course, like I said, the controller's a little bit more sensitive. So there were a few more interceptions growing as I'm getting used to it. It is a very friendly controller for someone who, like subtle movements. Like on my PlayStation 4, I was on my fifth controller because you getting into the game and jerk, you would the plastic would come off and
Sure.
it would stop working after a while. I don't
Yeah.
think that's going to be a problem on this one.
No, I've busted DualShock 4s too, and I'm not
Yeah,
particularly hard on controllers. So like even like thumbsticks wearing out quickly or popping off, and yeah, it might so I have the Spider-Man PS4 Special Edition that came with the Spider-Man and all that stuff from the last game, and my red controller that came with that, the circle button just stopped working. So yeah, no, but I have heard um, lots of really positive reviews about the DualSense controller, which is the new naming convention for the PlayStation controller. The Xbox controller just looks like an Xbox controller,
yeah.
um, which is fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it.
I'm like,
Um,
if it works, stick with it.
right? Exactly. Yeah, exactly. If it's not broken, don't fix it. And I'm curious on the tensive triggers I've been hearing about. So when you're playing Spider-Man, from what I understand, you can feel the tension in your trigger when you're pushing it to do
Yes,
the web slinging, and that kind of tips you off on different things. Or
it does, and they have the triggers on how you can like you have the different web attacks where you can like stick a person up to the wall, and it tells you like it's available for you. In Spidey sense, it vibrates before a bad guy attacks you. So at this one part in like this very beginning of the game, I did not make it into the game at all. But it's like 1 on 12 people, and it's like steadily vibrating. So you can press the circle button and dodge, and then go into your next move. So I thought that was fun, and I was like, someone that's more used to those games, I'm pretty sure would that would be like, oh man, this is awesome. But to me, it was like, I don't know what's going on. So
Right.
Too much. Too much.
yes, well, my whole idea was Madden, PS5, and Warframe were supposed to be launch games. They both
Right.
pushed their games back, so it was like, oh,
Oh.
I want to play a game that is actually meant to be played on PS5, so I bought Spider-Man. It is not a game that I would normally purchase, but I wanted to play a game to see how get a full effect of how the PS5 is supposed to look, and just
Lots
wanted
of
to play
delays
PS4 games
too.
for fun.
Yeah. Wasn't Halo? Halo was supposed to be a day one title, correct, for the Xbox on Game Pass,
Yes, that's correct.
and that's been delayed.
Yep. So, I mean, there's a lot of talk right now about, kind of industry wide. And I listen to some other video game podcasts. And one of the podcasts I listened to, um, one of the hosts said basically, like, if you want to get a next gen system and you have the money to get the next gen system right now, go ahead. Just know that there's not going to be that many titles right now that are intended 100% for that system. And I think that's kind of what you're saying too, Floyd. It's kind of like, the games that you have are ones that you could have bought on PS4, but you have the PS5 version, or even you buy the PS4 version with the free download to the PS5 version.
Yeah, that's
Um,
what I did.
yeah, so I think there's definitely more to come with the games library on both consoles. I have a Series X ordered. It has not come yet, and I just checked again while we were recording, and for whatever reason, the Xbox store still shows my order pending. They have my money, so I don't know what's pending about it, other than they just haven't
Oh
shipped it to
no.
me. Um, so that might be a task for tomorrow to sit on a chat and wait forever for the Microsoft store. Um, but yeah,
Oh,
it looks like it's still too early to decide, which console's the superior one, and honestly, a lot of it comes back to preference. A lot of it comes down to what you know. A lot of people that started with PlayStation when when the PSX came out, they just every like clockwork, every generation got PlayStations. I know people that are like that with the Xbox. I know Sandy and I are like that with anything Nintendo.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I will camp
I'm
outside in the rain.
yeah. Sandy has multiple 3DSs, Floyd.
Wow,
Yeah,
All the special editions. I had to have them all.
I gotta.
yeah. Hey, listen, we all have our different things. We all have our different obsessions. You know, but yeah, and I'm not a very big handheld gamer anymore myself. Although I will say, my one of my favorite games of all time is Pokemon Red and Blue, which of course came out on the original Game Boy way, way, way back in the day. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens with the consoles.
So
We do know that what is going to be on these consoles, Floyd and Sandy, is that we are going to have our first and really our first announced wrestling game on the next gen console was announced this Tuesday, and it's going to be AEW getting their announcement out first about a next gen wrestling game. This is really exciting stuff for me, um, both as a wrestling fan and as a gamer, but also because Kenny Omega is very involved. We all know Kenny is a very big gamer, has a lot of following on Twitch, and has worked with Capcom quite a bit in the past. Um, I'm He's kind of seems to be driving the creative direction around this, and even name dropped No Mercy in his announcement, which I thought was pretty risque to do. Uh, but listen, I don't know about you guys, but I definitely will be pre-ordering All Elite Wrestling on the Xbox Series X. or PS5, whichever one, But hey, listen, if you're listening, if you can ship me a PS5 right now, I'll cancel my Series X order. I'll do it.
we'll
But
we'll sponsor Sony.
right, yeah. Well, hey, listen, I'll definitely show for Sony. But yeah, no, I'm very excited
I
about
won't.
this. But yeah, I mean, Sandy, what's your first reaction to hearing about AEW games?
So exciting because we know the number one player when it comes to this, and there are other people who have made wrestling games, and maybe it's not done so well, but this one's huge. They have the funding for it. Like you mentioned, Kenny Omega being behind the scenes for it, it's going to be good. He has the mind of a gamer. He's been a gamer for a very long time. We all know this. We all know that's one of his passions. And this is going to be a project I feel that will come from love rather than just, hey, we gotta put a new 2K out this year because of the contract,
Right.
and we're gonna use the same system that we used for the last one and just add new characters and call it a day. Like it's not going to be that. It's going to show passion and caring, and it's gonna be fun. I can't wait. I maybe will not play it on the new system because money, and also I like to wait a little while when I do upgrade my systems. I'm one of those bargain hunters. Maybe I can get like a refurbished one. That's what I did with my Xbox One, to be fair.
Sure.
I will not be getting a PS5 because I'm at war with Sony, have been for many, many years. And yeah, I can't wait. It's gonna be so much fun.
This was, yeah, like one of the biggest pieces of news of the week for me. I love wrestling games. Like I've played them all. I've played them all. Ukes, as I guess the developer is that.
Yep.
I'm like I don't know. They're like I've always loved their games. As long as they had the contract with WWE, so I always loved their games. And the director being the guy that directed WWF No Mercy and the Def Jam games. And I remember, I mean, WWF No Mercy, just my friends that even didn't like wrestling would play it because it was such a playable and fun game. So I am really looking forward to what they do with it and how they release it and Cody's entrance. That's the most important part of it. If they got to get Cody's entrance right. Uh, so coming out, so that's gonna be fun. I mean, I can't wait to reserve it. They could, they could have done like a GoFundMe, and I just thrown the maximum amount of money at it I could because I am like jonesing for this. It's just like I said, I love wrestling games, and WWE stopped working with Ukes, and then the game sucked, and it was just
Right.
that simple. It sucked. It was
Yeah.
horrible.
2K20, from what I understand, was absolutely abysmally poor and just
Yeah, first
littered
time I
with.
felt like I wasted my money on a game.
Yeah, I think I
Agreed.
might have bought 2K19, and I said this is the last one I'm buying until they change it because it was already on a downward trend, and I don't think that was because of Ukes. I just think that the 2K games and the pressure that they put on a studio to ramp up and be fast and just get the game out no matter what. I think that really hurts, especially in game development because it is an art form and it is a lot of creative energy that has to go into that stuff. But yeah, I mean, I'm very excited to see where Ukes and you know, AKI man himself, will take this and. Like I said, Kenny wouldn't want it to be any other way besides a really good wrestling game. And I think I think that's going to be awesome. We did also, and we haven't talked about mobile games a whole lot on this show yet, Sandy. But we get an announcement about the All Elite General Manager mobile app. It kind of looks like a game. I don't know if either one of you are very familiar with um, the mobile game WWE Supercard, that of course is put out by Cat Daddy and 2K Games. But this feels like kind of like a direct competitor with that game.
I could see that. I play Supercard. I played it for about 6 months to a year, and then just got bored with it. But so if it's something like that, that's okay. But I just like the whole idea of them putting the matches together, just like one of the like GM emulators that you see online. If it's more like that, that would be more something that I would stay playing.
Yeah, agreed. I was a supercard player pretty competitively for about a year, and it just became just a giant money suck. Um, very very much a pay to play kind of situation. But yeah, I mean, it looks a little bit different. Sandy, what are your kind of your first thoughts here at All Elite General Manager, the mobile game that is being brought to the table here by Aubrey Edwards?
I am so not into mobile gaming. The most mobile gaming I do is when I walk around with my Switch. And I guess I am a sucker for Nintendo mobile games when, Mario Run was a blast. But I don't know. Those games, they actually do bring a lot of money in for these companies. I mean, actually, what am I talking about? The only game I really play on my phone is Pokemon Go now. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I put some money in there. Sometimes I get impatient. Sometimes I'm running out of Pokeballs. It's easy entertainment, and I'm kind of my whole point in them announcing these two mobile games and the wrestling and the actual next gen and current gen wrestling game that they're going to be releasing is that they are committed. A lot of people were doubtful of AEW. It's like they're not going to last a year. They're okay. They'll do the year, but then they're going to. It's not going to work. It's done. They're pursuing every single avenue, and gaming is a huge aspect to get new fans, maybe to solidify the current fan base. And it's all in good fun. It's all going to be done well. They're not half-assing things, and I'm excited. I might even play the mobile games. Who knows?
Yeah,
It's fun.
and go ahead, Floyd.
I was just gonna say it's funny that she says she plays Pokemon Go because I play Harry Potter Wizards Unite, which is, from what I can tell, the same game.
Yeah,
They're by
just
the
a
same
different
company,
skin.
Niantic, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, like when me and my friends were just walking around Chicago, and he's like, "Oh, I gotta throw a ball," and I'm like, "I gotta catch a creature," and it's like it's the same thing, the same actions going on. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I work. I just talked about how much I work a lot, so a lot of times the only games I can play are just on my cell phone, really quick. So the
Sure.
fact that I'll have an AEW based game to do that is kind of awesome. So they will definitely have me.
Aw.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely start playing it. And I think both of you made great points about how when you put out a really good video game, you definitely can bring in new audience to your product and bring more, viewers. And ultimately, that's what AEW wants, right? Um, the gaming companies will take a pretty substantial cut, I would imagine, on the mobile games. They'll probably be, the freemium games that we're used to playing on mobile, where you download for free and you pay, for premium content or premium currency, that kind of thing. But yeah, I see, I had friends growing up that we would play WCW World Tour or WCW NWO Revenge, and they wouldn't have watched a single bit of wrestling ever. And then next thing you know, like, oh, hey man, wrestling's on. You want to watch it? Oh, yeah, sure, okay. I mean, might as well. I mean, the game's pretty fun. So I could definitely tell you that from personal experience that that does happen. Um, Now they might be, be kind of like, oh, where's this guy or where's that guy? And it could be just some of the characters that were not necessarily part of the main roster or at the time they were trying to watch it. But it's certainly it's definitely a great avenue and really a great way to advertise your product. And hopefully they're very successful at it because I think we could use um, a good wrestling game.
Yeah, I ordered my AEW game shirt, so I'll be representing, and I'm looking forward to whatever they. I'm looking forward to whatever they do. I just like this whole the whole idea is like, well, you were like it's gonna be either this game or this type of game, and it was like, oh no, it's all three of these games. Here you go,
Right.
and then that
I
was really
love it.
cool. Yeah.
And what's interesting too, I mean, they're really targeting that mom mobile gamer with the casino game. I think those kind of older moms I'm just joking because I've been to casinos and that's who plays the slots a lot of times. But yeah, we'll see what that casino game looks like. Um, I don't think there's much to talk about it. I think it's just kind of, maybe you can play a card game, maybe you can play slots. There's mobile games that are just you pull slots, and I don't understand them at all because you're not winning anything tangible. You're just literally pulling a slot machine. So those games don't speak to me. But they're definitely popular. They're always in the top 50 list. So hey,
See,
listen, if you can get AEW to be on a top 50 list with a casino game, do it. I mean,
yeah, and
go ahead.
I have a Black and Jack app that I play on my phone in between different times. So I was just hoping with the casino that it has different games other than slots.
Right,
Because if it's just slots, it'll probably be me downloading so they get the download and then never touching it again.
right. Agreed. Yeah, absolutely. Maybe I'll throw them a rating and a comment. But yeah, I mean, what I don't think they didn't really show anything of that game yet. That one I think is, I think it's sooner to release than the other two,
Yeah,
based on what Cody was
but it's
saying.
like we want something you can play now, and I'm like, okay, so I start looking for it, and they're like, well, we didn't mean now, now.
Right.
We meant like soon. I was like, it's very confused.
Yeah. So, and with that too, we do want to point out we're probably about a year away from the next gen game. At least I'm of two camps in that. One is I want to play it as soon as possible, and the other is I want it to be as good as possible. So I hope that they don't rush the production of the game, and that it comes out when it should. I just hope that that's sooner rather than later.
Absolutely, I completely agree. I want it to be right. I'd rather if we have to wait longer than I want to wait, that's fine. Just be right. Don't come out and be buggy and all those things that drive people away from games.
Yeah.
Oh
Be the
yeah.
final product that you want it to be.
And this will be huge. Like I feel like this is definitely something that needs to have an impact. So it can't be one of those half-assed games. It can't be buggy. It can't be disappointing. There's lots of high expectations, especially when you compare it to those games that we grew up on from the Fed. So it's going to be a big release for them. They have to do it right. And like you guys said, definitely, hopefully they take their time. They are able to not rush it. We do want it soon, but it's like, to me, this kind of brings me back to Breath of the Wild, that big Zelda title that we were expecting for the Wii U when it came out, and then it got delayed and delayed and delayed, and that eventually turned into what we got with Breath of the Wild, because that one was delayed and delayed. And it is one of the most beautiful games I've ever played, and had all the 10-star ratings in the world, and it was so worth the wait. And I feel like that's what take all the time they need, and hopefully it's soon. But I won't be upset if it takes too long, because I know they're going to release an amazing product.
Yeah. I mean, you get one shot at a first opinion, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
or first impression, I should say. But yeah, I mean, we'll see how it goes. It's very exciting. I didn't, expect that we were going to get big announcements in the gaming world, or especially not in the wrestling gaming world at this point this year. But I'm excited. I know Floyd's excited. Sandy's excited. I mean, we're all excited. It's going to be awesome. Um, but yeah, I mean, that's about what we got for this week's show. Floyd, why don't you start off with your plugs first, sir?
All right. So you can listen to me every week on Saturday on Social Suplex Podcast Network. It is all things elite. It is me and my co-host Austin Sumowitz. You can follow us at AT Elite Pod. We're actually going to be giving some stuff away this week, so definitely want to be following that Twitter so you can join in our giveaways. So that will be fun, and or you can follow me directly at Floyd Johnson Jr. I just talk about random crap. You will find a lot of sports for Kansas City Chiefs. Or yeah, so but yeah, I'd honestly rather you prefer that. I prefer you follow the podcast because I'm not very interesting.
Well,
Oh,
Floyd, I
stop.
disagree. I disagree, Floyd. I think you're a very interesting fella. But definitely thanks for coming on. We'll definitely have you back. It's we love having other members of the podcast network come on just experience Impact with us and talk a little games. It's always fun. So, Sandy, why don't you throw us your plugs?
Hey, so you guys can find me, my personal account on Twitter at Sailor Zelda, which I still need to freaking work on that. I need to change my handle for my character moving forward. I can't wait for you guys to see that. And I'm on Instagram at Sandy Gaviria. Of course, you can follow our podcast Twitter, which you absolutely need to, so you can get updates on what we're up to. We do have giveaways, and I really can't wait to see what the future holds for this podcast. I really love it, and definitely appreciate the support. Hopefully, you guys can download this, give us a 5-star rating, give us an awesome review, interact with us. Any friends that are listening, I absolutely adore you. My friend Riley was so cute. He was like, Sandy, no podcast this week because we are running a day late. And I'm like, oh, so cute. I love it. But our Twitter handle is at 8-Bit Suplex. So please follow us on there.
Yep, absolutely. And you can follow me at Laughlin_Josh, which, I don't know why my full last name is not in my Twitter handle. When I created Twitter, I had no idea what Twitter was. And I still, honestly, I think it's just a space where a lot of people can go and be angry about things. But listen, follow me, and it's a lot of happy wrestling stuff. And definitely follow the podcast. And, if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, great. If you're listening to us on Google Podcasts, also great. Stitcher, anywhere, Podbean. Definitely follow all the rest of the shows on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Of course, Floyd's show, All Things Elite. Of course, we have the Ace of Podcast, Keeping It Strong Style. We also have One Nation Radio, the Ricky and Clive Wrestling Show. We also have Grown Men Watch This Shit, which is back in action. And then definitely check out the Grave Consequences podcast. If you love Lucha Underground, that's the podcast for you to go and check out. But with anything else, reach out to us. We're still waiting on a video game topic suggestion for our giveaway. So if you have one, throw it our way, and you'll just win. There's not going to be a drawing. There's not going to be anything. Just the first person to give us a suggestion for a video game topic. That's a non-host of the Social Suplex Podcast Network, of course. Definitely throw us that line, and we'll ship out. We'll reach out to you to ship out the giveaway, which of course is the Batman Arkham series Scarecrow. So, but without further ado, that's it. So
Thank you guys so much.
We'll see you next week. Thanks, everybody.
Oh my gosh, and Floyd, thank you so much for joining us today. I had so much fun, and I know people will absolutely enjoy it. You are fantastic. You're amazing. Thank you for joining us today.
It was a great time. I loved being on the show.
Thanks, Floyd. Thanks,
Yay.
Sandy. Talk to you all in the same place next week.